The number one show I know that we all agree on is Break the Bank with X, LERK, and Dion.
Welcome back to another episode of the Break the Bank podcast. This is your boy Lurk. X is back in the building as he should be. Unfortunately, Dion can't be with us, but luckily we have S back on the show once again. How you doing, my brother?
I'm chilling, man. I'm chilling. Glad to be on the show. Ready to break the bank with y'all.
It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been a little bit. When did we talk? What was it? Before
Right before the
playoffs, right?
I think it was before the play-in.
It might have been. Yeah, it might have been. Yeah.
It was right before the play-in.
Mhm.
And I'm glad you brought that up because when you were on the show, you said you didn't trust the Nuggets.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, I don't think any of us did at that point. I think me and Dion spoke about it while X was in London, and we had like a whole discussion on is this the year they get over the hump? And
Yeah.
our whole shit was the path that they have to get there. This would be the year to make it happen, and it did. But one thing you said was you truly believe that a team that nobody was talking about was going to come out of the East. And
And
you had Philly being that team, but you was still half right because nobody
yeah,
expected Miami to be here right now.
yeah, it's funny on like me and Lauren's show. I also said like there's gonna be a low seed that pops up in these conference finals, and then we saw the Lakers and the Heat get into the conference finals. It just felt like a weird NBA playoff series, you know. A lot of the stuff.
Every team is flawed. Yeah, every like top seed is flawed. Yeah. And even like I'm not gonna slander you for not trusting the Nuggets. This feels like that year when the Bucks won the title, to where it's just like, look, it's just a mess, and they were healthy enough and survived enough and peaked at the right time to where
I think the last month too, like the last month and a half of basketball for the Nuggets in the regular season, like how can you trust them when they're not ready?
I think that was the biggest thing, right? Like they played like shit down the stretch.
Yeah,
even Jokic in particular, like wasn't playing up to standards.
Mm-hmm.
And really, it's Murray, right? When Murray has an outlier shooting night, they're very hard to beat. But you can't trust that that's just going to be bubble Murray every night. You know what I'm saying? But if he has 4 of them in 7 games, the Nuggets probably win, right?
I mean, I felt the same way about Rui Hachimura, and they made it all the way to the conference finals. And even though they got swept, he was still cooking up.
He was hooping, man.
I said the same shit about Rui, so I don't know, man.
But he's gonna make $20 million a year, isn't he? That's disgusting.
Yeah,
he's gonna make $20 million a year.
So let's talk about that Lakers Nuggets series first.
Okay.
As how shocked were you by the sweep?
A sweep was pretty shocking to me. I thought they'd at least get one in LA, at least one. But I just thought like Jokic has been a problem to guard regardless. And the AD and the Lakers, they were the most equipped to be able to guard him. Like that was the best chance any team had to guard him because they had the perfect situation to be able to make it a little uncomfortable for Jokic. Not stop him, but make it uncomfortable. It didn't matter at all. And that's like not to hint at what's going to be the NBA finals, but that's going to be the issue in the finals too. Nobody can figure out a way to stop this guy. I feel like if Boston made it to the finals, they would have had a much better chance because they got guys like Al Horford, Rob. They can throw bodies at him at least. But with Miami, it's going to be an issue. And I think with the Lakers, it ended up being an issue too because AD just got gassed and he didn't have enough left in the tank offensively to be able to give them anything else. So it was like I just don't know. He's a problem that has not been able to be solved realistically. I remember the Giannis run, the 2021 Giannis run. I was like, man, like yes, he is an incredible player. He's turning out to be the best player in the world, but you also felt like there were ways you could try to stop him. Right? With Jokic, it just doesn't feel like there's a way that you can stop him offensively. It's more like, which would you rather give up? Is it the playmaking? Are you opening up things for guys, or are you going to let him be a scorer? And he's shown in these playoffs that he can be a scorer too. This man dropped 50 on the Suns, right? So
and didn't he drop 50 on the Timberwolves in the loss? It
was like 47 or something, right? Yeah.
But like, that's the thing. I forgot who it was, but somebody brought it up to me recently in the debate about being able to stop Jokic. And he said, you just got to force him to be a scorer. And I said, he's proven that doesn't mean anything. Like,
Yeah.
Half the fucking first 2 rounds of the playoffs with the Suns and the Timberwolves was the other team trying to force him to be a scorer and not be a playmaker, thinking that like the same way the Warriors was like, you know what? The way to eliminate Sabonis is eliminate his playmaking. Don't let take away the passes, force him to score, and people try to do that with Jokic. That shit does not matter.
That's easy
Even when
against
you
Sabonis though,
defend
right?
him, like
Yeah.
yeah, and then like
and you
even
got honestly,
defend him,
you
AD
got to credit the
plays
last
good
2 years
defense.
for that. You got to credit the last 2 years because, right? Because the Jokic of 3 years ago was always looking to be pass first, right? He would score, but reluctantly so. But the last 2 years is like there is nobody else, especially last year. There is nobody else. So if you want to win, you got to go out there and get a bucket. And I think that kind of helped change his mentality. So where now he's like, look, I can drop 40 at will. And if I got the rest of my guys cooking with me, pick your poison. Because me and
exactly.
Merk,
What was he? Yeah. What was he gonna do last year? Pass it to Facundo Campazzo and Austin Rivers, like.
And now, like when Mike Malone has complained, we've heard Mike Malone complain for years. Like he begs him. Like it was the same thing with Brett Brown trying to get Ben Simmons to shoot. Mike Malone was begging this guy to be more aggressive on offense and look for his own shot more, and he just refused to. He's like, "Yo, bro, I like passing. I like watching my teammates score." And
people like Gordon buying
and now he's fucking lethal. He's lethal. You seen the moves he was hitting dudes with in that last series? AD was getting that work put on him. And he's an elite defender. And he was playing good defense more often than not.
Yeah.
But Jokic, he's slimmed down, but seemingly gotten stronger. And all the finesse is still there, and his game is more polished. And the jump shot is water, especially that little shot from the key.
Yeah.
Like there's no stopping him. They have almost everybody on their team is gonna hit you with backdoor cuts and pin down screens.
And that's the thing,
and
right?
At least half the team can knock down 3-pointers.
They trust that if they move, he will find them, right? And what you see with a lot of teams with a ball dominant players, if they don't trust that their hard work is going to be rewarded, those cuts aren't as sharp, right? They're not moving with the proper intent, but they're like, no, if I cut, he's going to find me. And so now you see somebody like I said, Aaron Gordon, he's buying into, I'm going to get my baskets with backdoor cuts and alley-oops. You know what I'm saying? Versus somebody like Ayton who doesn't buy into that same mentality, who wants to get his touches his way versus like, no, we're all going to play off Jokic and he's going to make the right play. And so do I think that they're like a great team historically? No. But based on where the league is now, it's hard to stop them, right? Look, somebody like the Lakers series, they thrive when they can kind of funnel you, run you up the 3-point line and funnel you into the paint and then rely on their length to make you take difficult shots. Jokic can kill you from the top of the key, right? And it's like, oh, you're not going to bring AD out here? I'll just shoot this. Oh, no, you're going to bring AD out here. Backdoor cuts, alley-oops. You know what I'm saying? We swing the ball, wide open corner threes. It's like, bro, you can't defend that. You know
another thing, Jamal Murray, that injury, low-key a blessing in disguise. Him not being able to do nothing with his lower body as far as working out or basketball for a while. He was forced to get his weight up. You see him finishing through contact a lot better. You see him driving to the rim a lot more confidently when there's bigs there. Like he's playing,
his post game too,
better defense too.
His post game, I love when guards have a nice like high post game to them. Like they'll just back a guy down and then
you look like you was Andre
spin.
Miller's biggest fan.
I did really like Andre Miller, actually. You're right. Especially Nuggets days, Andre Miller. He was a fucking hoover. But like I think like when a guy has a back to the basket game like that, you mentioned the strength. That's a huge part. The off-ball movement is so key, but you know why they trust him? Because he also moves. Like if you notice it, Jokic is also cutting. He's doing the hard stuff. He's screening for guys. He's kind of like he does that Iverson cut every time to get the ball at the top of the key. He does all of the movement that the other guys do. So when it's like, hey, if our 2-time MVP is cutting as hard as we're supposed to, we should also do the same thing. You know what I mean?
Yo, and
that's different from like James Harden, where it's like, all right, cool, I'm gonna dribble at the top of the 3-point line. I'm gonna kind of take it to the basket and then find someone open in the corner or whatever. That type of basketball, just like, I don't know, it isn't conducive to anybody trusting you to give him the ball. You know
I
what I
don't
mean?
think anybody has ever been trusted as much as him in the history of the NBA, except maybe Magic Johnson. Like,
What about Braun? I feel like Braun is
nah,
also
because not for nothing. Like, it's something about when you watch the Nuggets play, like everything happens in rhythm.
yeah. Well, it's like the Warriors.
No matter how like out of nowhere his passes are, his teammates are always ready. Think back to the play. We all got to remember this too. X, I know you old, but I'm pretty sure you remember this play because this was crazy. When Jokic did the fake spin into the hook shot to the baseline, and KP's running down and get the rebound, and he turned the hook into a pass.
Yeah.
And KP had no time to really react to that and still caught it on a hop and dunked it. Like a lot of players, Braun, CP3, it don't matter. Like a lot of damn near any other player, that ball is getting fumbled.
Yeah.
Or they not going to just go up as quick with it as in rhythm. And it's like that all game, every game. No matter where he's at, no matter what kind of move he's passing the ball out of, no matter where his teammates is at, everybody's always ready for that Jokic pass. Always.
It's kind of like the Warriors, right?
I won't say the most trusted. I agree, Prime Braun, and there's some other players there, and that Curry, you know what I'm saying?
Steve Nash, right? I feel like Steve Nash was one of those.
Maybe Steve Nash.
But no, I agree that trust is there, and it's huge. Pause.
Yeah.
Like, and it just shows. And the thing is, defensively, right? The teams that they've played, the only way to beat them is really to outscore them. But all of the teams that they've played are so one-dimensional, right? That it makes them, even with their limited defensive personnel, able to at least guard you to the point where their offense can take over, right? Because even the Lakers, it's not predicated on ball movement. It's a lot of one-on-one. It's a lot of ISO. The Suns, a lot of ball. It's not a lot of ball movement. It's just me, my turn, your turn, right? And if you're going 1-on-5 every possession, it makes it, even a subpar defense, easier to at least guard you or force you into a lower percentage shot. And then they just let their offense take over because, God bless you when you try to stop them. So, like the Warriors of old, could the Nuggets have beat them? No, absolutely not. The Warriors would probably demolish them, right? But right now,
I don't know. I think the Nuggets defense is pretty underrated, though.
It is, but it's not Warriors, Draymond Green.
Yeah, no. It's not 2015 to 2017 Prime Warriors, but
I'm just talking like champions, of years past. Like, if you stack these Nuggets up against those teams, those Nuggets get exploded.
I mean, not for nothing though. Like, when you talk about those Warriors in particular, there's not many teams throughout history that stack up well against them.
But even, I mean, to X's point, like other past champions, the Nuggets are probably one of the worst defenses. Yeah, they're underrated. I agree. But like statistically, they are one of the worst defenses to make it to the NBA Finals.
And they also have one of the 3 most unstoppable players to be in the finals in the past like 15, 20 years.
But also, we say underrated. Why? Because they score at such an efficient clip that they get to set their defense more often than you. And so if you're not getting picked apart in transition, and the other team is playing against a set half-court defense, those percentages, it may be 2, 3, 4, 5 percentage points difference, which now it looks like you're underrated, but in reality, it's just, bro, we're scoring so efficiently, and then we're running back, and we get to set our defense, and that makes. But that's the margin that we're talking about between like underrated and like, they're completely garbage.
I got a quick question for y'all real quick. This is off topic a little bit, but since we're talking about Lakers Nuggets, if you're the Lakers, do you run it back because you got to the Western Conference Finals?
No.
What do you do though? Like, what is the?
I think the reason Bron did this whole fake retirement thing is because when they traded for AD, the idea was we're gonna get whatever's left of Bron's prime, and he's going to pass the torch to AD, and then we'll build around AD, right? All-star caliber center. That's what LA's known for. Yeah. I think Bron and management is realizing the next championship iteration of this team is not being built around Anthony Davis, right? So they're like, okay, Bron, you're not going to hold us hostage. So if I'm them, I see what I can get for AD, right? It's not, you're not trading, right? Because look, Bron is in the decline, right? So it's like, let's see what we can get for Anthony Davis. Maybe we can get some spare parts, some picks. Maybe somebody believes in him as a franchise cornerstone. Because as the years progress, his value is only going to go down. He's not an alpha. He's not a number one. He's a number. He may not even be a number two, but let's say he's a number two, right? I won't get too slanderous. He's not the number one piece of a championship core. So, and neither is LeBron. So right now, you don't have the best player on the championship team. And we can trick ourselves into thinking, man, they really did a good job of retooling that team on the fly.
But what do you say? What do you say? AD was the guy for the Lakers in this playoff run.
He should have been, but he wasn't.
He was though.
Yeah, but he still wasn't as consistent as you need the guy to be.
I agree. Alternating days,
every
all
other
that
night,
stuff.
alternate day AD, right? And it's like, look who they beat, right? Who they beat round one.
But even if you take away the playoffs though, right? You forget about the playoffs for a second. There's still an 82 game season that you got to get through to make it to the playoffs, and AD hasn't been able to stay healthy. He's also shown spurts throughout the season where he just don't give a fuck about the outcome of the game.
And look, this is, and I said it on Break the Bank, I'll say it here.
This is Break the Bank. Yo, what the fuck did you smoke?
I think what the decision is this is the decision for the Lakers. Do they choose Rui and Austin Reeves, or do they choose Kyrie? I don't think there's a scenario where they can have all three. So it's like, do you run it back with Reeves and Rui, or does Bron say, look, we need somebody that can carry this offense night in, night out? That's not Austin Reeves. That's certainly not Rui. Kyrie can at least come in on a night where Anthony Davis can't play, or I can't play, or I don't have enough gas in the tank. We can give the ball to Kyrie. He can score an ISO. He can go 1-on-5. He can at least get us there. And then come playoff time, we've got a ticket to the dance, and hopefully the talent is enough to overcome. But I feel like if I'm LeBron, a player like Kyrie is what he needs, what he feels he needs to kind of get close to a championship ceiling. If you bring back Austin and Rui, you're not building around the margins based on what they'll have available and building a true like contender. You know what I'm saying? It was just a down year in the West, and this year they had a puncher's chance. But next year, I don't think that you can look at them and say, yeah, they're shooing to be a contender or to get to where they were this year. We forget they were a fucking playing team for a reason.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
They barely made it in this year.
Yeah,
and then like you don't know what Bron's health gonna be like next year. There's so many question marks about this team right now that like even without the taking in the contracts and the pending free agents, like there's so many question marks with this team. I've been saying it all playoffs. I did not see what everybody else saw. I did not feel like they were title contenders. Mm-hmm. Everybody kept saying SU. I believe you were part of that crowd that said the Lakers had a real shot. You didn't think they were going to get there, but you felt like they had a shot.
I mean, out of the like an outside chance at it.
Now, when they got past the Warriors, which I didn't think was going to happen, I agreed with. I was in agreement with what you said earlier that I felt like they had the best chance to stop the Nuggets given their matchups. Mm-hmm. But I thought that the route to do that was to attack Jokic and get him off the court, not try to lock him down. Like the one way to get Jokic is like if you want to stop Jokic, you have to get him off the court.
Yeah, foul trouble. Yeah.
Yeah, like you gotta attack him, get him in the foul trouble. Here's the problem. Nuggets rotate a lot, they play great help defense. And Jokic has improved on defense too. Like it's hard to get him in the foul trouble because he's not like that aggressive on defense. He just moves his feet and keeps his hands up.
And he knows how valuable he is.
So like he knows exactly. Like he's so fucking smart that
I'll give you the two. Take the two. We'll come down and we'll hit a three. We'll play the numbers game.
I think one game all series he had like 3 or 4 fouls. That was it. Like everything else, he only had like 2 fouls every game.
Yeah, it was game 3 where he got in foul trouble a little bit, and the Lakers got it close. But yeah, that's it.
So I just, even with that being said, I just never felt like they were a team that, like, you look at them, you look at them. Okay, cool. On paper, seems okay. We could do something here. But then when I watched them play, there's just too many flaws. And I did not trust their coaching. And in the end, the coaching will prove to be a problem. Now, let's take it matter of fact, before we even move on. What do you think the Lakers should do? What is your answer to your own question?
I feel like there's ways they could get better without getting the Kyrie situation. I don't think they're gonna move off of AD, to be honest with you, just because like there's the it's at a low point. You can't go ahead and trade him for spare parts if the goal is to contend. If LeBron is actually trying to put pressure on this team, it's probably to put pressure and move the 2023 pick they have this year, which is the 17th pick, and then they have the 2029 and 2030 picks that they could trade as well. So I think it's, hey, let's use those picks. Let's package Malik Beasley's contract, which is I think 12 million or 17 million, and Mo Bamba's contract, which is 12 million, and now that's 27 million dollars that you can move to go get a guy. Who that guy might be, it's like, all right, cool. Hey, Fred VanVleet. Here is the Toronto Raptors. Here's Mo Bamba. Here's Malik Beasley. He's the 17th pick. We'll get Fred VanVleet back, and now you have Reeves, Fred VanVleet, Rui, LeBron, AD. A little bit better of a rotation. Or like, hey, Chicago, what's up? Let's go get DeMar DeRozan for 17. We'll give you the 2029 future first round pick. We'll package Malik Beasley and Bamba and go get it that way. I think there's still some ways they could get a little bit better. And like I said with the regular season stuff, I think DeRozan helps you in the regular season to win some games. Probably keeps you afloat in games where, you know, AD isn't right or LeBron isn't right. In the playoffs, there's questions there. I don't deny that, but at least you look better going into next season.
I think you put them on the Lakers the way they're built right now. Like, just offensively speaking, he helps them tremendously.
Yeah. I agree with you. Like
he can put the ball on the floor and hit the mid range.
He can create. He can get a bucket when it's tough, and like that's important. Right. I think that's needed. You know,
as much as there's a reliance on 3-point shooting, you got to be able to knock down those mid range jump shots in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. You have to. You got to be able to hit those floaters. You got to be able to knock down shots in the mid range. But let's take it to the Eastern Conference. Miami Heat won the first 3 games, looked like it was about to be another sweep, and then they lost 3 in a row. Celtics thought they had it in the bag.
Oh, wow. The Pistons hired Monty Williams.
No surprise there. There was rumors earlier that they were seriously pursuing and trying to get him to get a contract.
6 years, $72 million deal for Monty Williams.
72 million?
He's probably the highest paid coach in the league.
6 years, 72 million.
That's $12 million. Yeah. I mean, hey, man.
Yo, shout out to him, but what?
Wow.
Why does he have the leverage to command 72 million? I don't understand.
I mean, I guess they really wanted him, bro. They really wanted him in Detroit. He is like a culture setter, so for a rebuilding team, I get it. But 72 million is nuts. I'm actually curious how much is the highest paid coach in the league now? Like let's see, highest paid.
Speaking of,
yeah, talk to me.
What does Nick Nurse do for the 76ers?
He probably gets them to play better defense, but that roster needs a lot of work. So I don't know about all that. Yeah, he would be the highest paid coach in the NBA, by the way. Pop makes 11.5 right now, so he would be the highest paid coach in the entire NBA.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think Nurse is a valuable coach if you have versatility in your roster, right? Because he can coach in a variety of ways. But the Sixers essentially have one way of playing just because they have so many one-dimensional players that I don't feel like somebody like Nurse is really going to maximize their talent.
One dimension is an understatement.
So, but then again, he can probably draw up a fucking play, which I don't know if Doc Rivers has drawn up a play in the last 5 years. So that's a start. You know, maybe they'll have some more out of timeout plays. But other than that, I don't know if that's necessarily the best fit for somebody like Nurse.
I think adjustment-wise, playoff adjustment-wise, switching lineups, you know, kind of being creative with what they do defensively, that type of stuff, Nurse will thrive in. And Philly needs that. You know, Doc Rivers, Nurse is kind of like the exact opposite of Doc Rivers in the sense that he is good at the 16-game stuff. He can adjust. He can figure things out. on the fly in the playoffs. But the issue I have with Nurse is like, okay, does this mean that James Harden is leaving? And if this means James Harden is leaving, then you're coaching a very different roster with different expectations. Because now it's like Tyrese Maxey. Okay, maybe they move around Tobias Harris and whatever to get another guy in there, but like, what is that team necessarily doing over the next couple of years? And apparently Nurse is there to get them over the hump, you know? So I don't know. I don't love the fit just because I know that like Nurse is a guy who butts heads with players, and this feels like the last straw sort of thing on the Embiid Sixers front. Like, this is a last Hail Mary attempt, because Nurse is the type of guy that if he clashes with Embiid, yeah, you could probably get Nurse out of there, but also you're probably sending Embiid out the door as well with the way that relationship will kind of dissolve. So that's what I would be worried about. It's like, okay, 2-3 years down the line, let's say they still haven't made a conference finals, still haven't made an NBA finals, and things start to get tough. Nurse is the type that will call out the players in the media very, very quickly. And like, how is Embiid going to respond to that? How is James Harden if he's there? You know,
but he should respond in a positive
because way. They had Brett Brown as a coach who did the same shit. James Harden is a bitch, so that's different. But Embiid been there already.
But they didn't respect Brown.
But Embiid went through the worst times of Philly with the front office, the coaching staff. Like, there was a lot of wild shit being said publicly, like the way they was talking about their own players, and like just the way they handled a lot of the business. So if he could survive all that and still be willing to like dug it out and still hasn't demanded a trade, I'm sure he can deal with Nurse.
But let's be honest. Fair. How many years have we seen Embiid wear down in the playoffs? Every year. Mm-hmm. So at some point he's got to take his body seriously.
I mean,
right?
He had a bad game 7, but the dude played on the tear in his knee and balled the fuck out.
Yeah, but part of that is because he's playing at a weight that he shouldn't be playing at, right? When are we going to see him actually get like in the best shape of his life? Because we hear about it every year, but every year he's like Shaq. It looks like he's playing himself into shape as the season progresses. When is he going to enter game 1 already in game shape, right? To where he's not wearing down in fourth quarters, because that's essentially what happens. He's wearing down in the fourth, and you can see the player he is in the fourth quarter is not the same player he is in the first quarter. And like Luka, he doesn't take his stamina seriously. So maybe he needs somebody like Nurse who has equity because he's won a title to be like, look, as good as you think you are, you've yet to reach your ceiling, right? Yeah. Fuck your MVP. There's another level for you to get to. So if you're serious about winning, then it starts in the offseason, right? And don't think that you can just kind of just huff and puff your way through the regular season and you can peak in the playoffs, because guess what? In the playoffs, the intensity is only.
I mean, bro, he won MVP that way. Yeah,
but should he have? He have?
Yeah.
I mean, that's a conversation for another podcast, but you know what I'm saying? But
yeah. I'll say this. I think one of the more interesting aspects is how they're going to try to play defense. Because like you guys mentioned with the versatility, is like Nurse loves finding ways to get the most out of a defensive team. Obviously, the Raptors were one of those like, hey, let's switch everything. We got guys who can guard multiple positions types. But the Sixers are like the polar opposite of that. They are bleeding points at the point of attack. They have no perimeter defense whatsoever, especially if it's Harden and Maxey. It's like, man, this is layup lines. And
now they got the Anthony Melton.
Yeah, exactly. And they need Embiid to be like a defensive player of the year type of player. I think Nurse can get that out of him if Embiid commits to it.
I mean, I think he has been a defensive player of the year caliber player in the past.
He has, yeah.
The NBA was sucking dick that year and gave it to Giannis.
But in the past, but then you saw this year that his focus was on offense more. Why? He was chasing the trophy. And what do you need to
I think it was more so. I think part of it was him chasing that MVP, but I also think part of it was team was dog shit, bro. Offensively, team is dog shit offensively,
and he had to shoulder a lot of the burden, and he didn't have the stamina to also give 100% defensively.
No, yeah, so that's what I'm saying. I think that it, like part of I'm agreeing. Part of it is the MVP, but I also think part of it was James Harden ain't who he used to be, and they ain't got much in role players. Like Georges Niang, however you say his name, is your fourth best offensive player on the team.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, Tobias, but
I don't know what they're gonna do, man. Like, I mean, they probably end up trying to move Tobias, if Harden leaves, and then they try to find someone that could work and maybe replace what Harden does a little bit with the Tobias contract. But like, what? How are they making this team better if Harden isn't on the team next year? Like, I don't see that.
Do you think Harden is gone with Nurse in the picture?
I think so. I would be surprised if Harden stays, to be honest with you. I'd be surprised.
Okay. I mean, I think their best bet is because Harris is technically an expiring, right? He should have 1 year left.
Yeah. I think so. It's either 1 or 2, but yeah.
So really, the best way is you're going to have to take on a long-term contract, right? Mm-hmm. You're going to look at somebody who maybe, and I'm just throwing names out, but somebody like a Beal, right? If Washington decides to pivot and get out from all that money and be like, hey, look, you can clear your books. And especially that's important because of the new tax apron that's coming into effect next year. Yeah. So there's a team that's hovering around that tax apron and they're like, look, this isn't a championship level team and we can't afford, the consequences of going over that apron. Maybe you can convince somebody with maybe not a star, but maybe a second or third tier star who's locked into a long-term deal. But hey, look, here's Tobias Harris. Get from under this money. You send us a Zach LaVine, right? Because really, you can trade away DeRozan, you can trade a Zach LaVine, and you can kind of rebuild on the fly and just clear your cap sheet and kind of maybe focus on picks. But it's going to take something like that. Because I mean, the ideal player isn't out there, right? They don't have their picks on as valuable because it's going to be in the 20s, right? So even if you stack 4 of those picks together, which I don't even know if they have 4 of those picks to really convey in one deal, really it's just like it's going to be a second-tier guy. But is that second-tier guy more versatile, right? Mm-hmm. Can they dribble the ball? Can they lead the offense in minutes where Embiid's off the court? Or at the very least, can he provide perimeter wing defense, right? They have what's the defensive specialist that they have?
McDaniels? You talking about McDaniels?
No, the other guy, the light-skinned dude.
PJ Tucker?
No, what?
No, Tyball's not there no more.
Are you talking Melton?
No, it wasn't Melton. Maybe
Tyball's not there.
Thybulle's gone.
Well, even when they had Tyball, right? They needed his defense badly. But because offensively they're so one-dimensional, they couldn't even really afford to play in minutes. So what they need is somebody that can give them perimeter defense and give them something. At least make the defense respect you, even if it's just from the fucking corner. But if you have any kind of ball, handling, then that'll take that offense to the next level. Because right now it's pretty much Harden, and be pick and rolls. And then if Maxey has it, then Maxey has it. But if he doesn't, then what the fuck's coming. So even a Nick Nurse isn't going to really be able to switch things up like that. So
yeah. I'll say this also, like Nurse isn't the most creative offensively. He's more of a defensive specialist. Like
with the box at one, break out of zone, a matchup.
Yeah, exactly.
Pretty good out of timeouts though.
Yeah, he is great out of timeouts. Actually, they were number 1 in out of timeout plays the last 2 or 3 seasons, so he's great in that. But just some of the creative stuff, he doesn't have like a structure to his offenses, which is why I think Harden would help a lot if he re-signed, because that's your structure right there. It's like, hey, Harden is going to do his thing. He's going to create for others. He's going to obviously connect with, Embiid and Maxey, and that's the way you create your offense. But without him, it's just like, I don't know what.
And defensively, I think the Sixers have been operating on reputation more so than like their defensive play on the court, right? We thought of the Sixers as like this juggernaut potential contender because we assumed that they would be able to play top 5, top 10 level defense. And on a night-to-night basis, they're just not. So on nights where they're not being efficient on offense, they can lose, right? And we saw that throughout the course of the regular season, and it took outlier performances or individual brilliance from Embiid to kind of get him over the hump. Because we know Harden's not that guy, right? He's just not consistent enough. Maybe 1 out of every 3-4 games, we'll see flashes of the Harden of old, but Embiid needs somebody to help shoulder that burden. And they just don't have that plan.
They need to keep Harden and find a way to get Jeremy Grant.
I don't know how they're going to do that. I mean, Jeremy Grant would help, but I don't know how they would get Jeremy Grant.
And that's what Daryl Morey and Elton Brand stupid asses get paid the big bucks for. But we spent a lot of time on this topic, and it was just a sidebar after you got the breaking news about Monty Williams. Back to the Miami Heat. I told the Miami Heat and the Boston Celtics. You said the Celtics was your pick to come out the East. Actually, your pick was the Celtics to win it all. You had the Celtics winning it all. Nobody agreed with you. And I flat out told you I did not trust their coach enough for them to even make it that far. Bro, down 3.
I mean, I won't take a huge L on that.
Got manhandled. They got manhandled the first 3 games. They pulled off a fucking miracle thanks to Derek White in game 6.
Yeah.
And then got the asses handed to him on a silver platter game 7 at home. And for all the fucking hoes rooting for Boston that keep talking about, oh, Jason Tatum sprained his ankle in the first minute. Who the fuck cares? Where was Tyler Herro all series?
Honestly, I don't even think this series is about the Heat at all, right? I mean, yeah, Caleb Martin balled out. That locker room is broken, right? I think it started with Ime Udoka fucking getting fired right before the regular season started. But I think that if you listen to the quotes, especially Jaylen Brown, that locker room don't fuck with each other. And I think there's still a lot of finger pointing. I think they feel like there's probably a lack of accountability. And somebody like Mazzulla is not coming to year 1 and holding anybody accountable. So when we're seeing the worst versions of Smart, when we're seeing the worst versions of Jaylen Brown's shot selection, Mazzulla doesn't have the equity to hold them accountable. And so that just helps build the resentment. And I promise you, the fucking leaks are going to be nasty that come out of Boston, bro. They're going to be disgusting because that locker room don't fuck with each other. And honestly, I don't see how they run it back. I don't see how they do it.
I think the one like domino to drop, whatever you want to say. The question here is obviously with Jaylen Brown. I think it starts with Jaylen Brown. Everything here starts with Jaylen Brown. You got your background, obviously, like his own flaws as a player, everything that he has to do as a playmaker, which he isn't. Like he has no ball handling or playmaking skills whatsoever. And I think that hinders what the ceiling of this team is. On top of that, remember that they were about to trade him multiple times. They were, he was rumored for, rumored for KD, and then it was rumored for Kawhi, and then it was rumored for Donovan Mitchell, AD. That he's been mentioned in every single trade rumor for a star that has been brought out there. Now it's Damian Lillard. It's like, oh, they should trade him for Damian Lillard, do all that. I think that pisses a player off. And now that he's a Supermax eligible guy, he's eligible to get that, massive paycheck, and they're probably not going to want to pay him that. And that's going to be another notch on the belt. It's like, okay, so you guys wanted to trade me 4 times. You guys aren't going to pay me the Supermax that I'm eligible for. That's it. Final straw. Get me out of here.
Because the question is, should they, right? We mentioned that apron. That's up 179. If you're paying close to $100 million for Tatum and Brown, you've got what, $70 million to fill out the rest of the 13 spots. That's not a lot of money, right? Mm-hmm. It's not. And so we know Boston they haven't been a tax-paying team, right? Now, they were willing to kind of dip into it if they felt like they had a championship contender. I think for them, the big thing was Brogdon lost his legs, right? Yeah. And so he couldn't beat defenses. He couldn't get into the teeth of the defense. But when early on, the reason he won 6 Man of the Year is because when he was breaking out defenses, his ability to hit shots when teams went under on the pick and roll, he made them pay. But now they're like, okay, we're just going to go over the top. Go ahead and beat us and finish over length down low. But what happened? Now there's no space. And now the playmaking abilities that he did have was nullified by the fact that defenses didn't respect his ability to beat them off the dribble. So now that's the kind of player that they need, like a Tyrese Maxey type. Like, can you beat your defender one-on-one, put the defense in crisis, force them to rotate to where now we're putting our wing players where they can catch the ball and make a quick decision and get an easy bucket.
Funny enough,
and right now everything's so grinded out, Yeah.
Funny enough, last year, I mean, obviously a lot of teams could use this guy, but like last year, James Harden would be perfect for the Celtics team. Obviously, a lot of teams could use a guy like that, but just that type of player, get downhill, you can create, you can kick out. That's the type of guy you need to go and get, I feel.
But why not make that move? Why not make that swap, Jaylen Brown and James Harden?
I don't know if that's worth it for.
I mean, you gotta add more to pieces to the puzzle, but could be something for both teams to think about.
I also don't think the Celtics
on Brown, but his defense is pretty fucking critical to that team.
Yeah, I also think like Celtics and Sixers wouldn't make any trade since both of them are trying to compete for a championship in the same conference, in the same division, you know.
I think Smart is more likely to be gone first.
I could see that. Yeah, I could see that.
I think Smart gets moved first, and eventually in season you get a deal done for Brown. Is he under contract next year, or is it?
Yeah, he is. He is.
Yeah, so they don't have to necessarily. They could play the long game with this one. There's a deadline for the Supermax, right?
I believe so. So I think they can offer it to him this. They can offer it to him this summer, and then if they don't, they can't sign. They can't give him the Supermax in the middle of the season, but then they can give it to him when he's a free agent. So
you know who, and you're gonna laugh, Lark. And my Dinwiddie love is well documented, but even somebody like him,
bro, he would help. He would help. He
would help.
Yeah.
Talk, say whatever you want about him. He can be the defender one-on-one, and he could finish in the paint. Mm-hmm. And he could shoot just well enough to where you have to respect him, bro. You could talk shit, but it's true. The Nets still made the playoffs. Say what you want, but again, we're talking about limited resources,
NBA.
right?
That was a different NBA. Shut up.
I mean, look, you're a hater. It is what it is. You're a Knicks fan, bro.
Where Dinwiddie at? Where Dinwiddie at in the playoffs? Who got him there? Kyrie. And Mikal Bridges is the best player on that team.
Yo, bro, you're a Knicks fan. You
it don't matter.
Julius Randle, like your opinion on basketball.
So I know what bad is, bro. I've been watching bad a long time. I know bad when I see it.
We can move on. We can agree to disagree. A player of his
Dinwiddie's a slightly better.
He's a
slightly better basketball player than he is an investor.
Hey, do you guys want to talk about the finals before we get out of here?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, cause I'm curious to see where you guys land on this. I feel like we all agree that it's Denver by a pretty wide margin.
3.
I don't think it's by a wide margin. I think that the Heat have like the chaos on offense to throw the Nuggets off on defense. They can play well enough on the perimeter and in transition to really challenge the Nuggets.
Yeah.
Bam is at his best when he's
Bam is an overrated motherfucker. I'm not even afraid about Bam.
Look, he's at his best when he's able to provide weak side rim protection. But in this series, he's gonna have to guard fucking Jokic one-on-one, and he's gonna get eaten alive.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to watching him on the island with Murray.
And that's because who's the other big man on the Heat's roster?
Kevin Love. That's it.
Come on,
Cody Zeller. Yeah,
that's a T-Rex versus a lamb. Mm-hmm. Cody Zeller. That's where the Heat fucked up. Is that they just needed a body, and they don't have a tall body. Like the Warriors, they got like a Kevin Looney type. But if Bam's gonna have to guard Jokic one-on-one, they're gonna expose the fuck out of him. And now you're relying on the Miami's perimeter defenders to stay in front of their man and to defend all that motion. And I don't trust that they will. And I don't think the Heat. You're not holding the Nuggets to 86 points, right?
No, you're not.
You have to score to beat these motherfuckers. The Heat can't score it well enough.
They play the passing lanes well enough. They play defense on the perimeter. They play good.
That's good when it's Jaylen Brown making the decisions, not Jokic.
Listen, I'm not saying that they're gonna win. I still think the Nuggets win. I just think that the Miami Heat, the way their roster is built, the way they play, and Harrell has a chance in coming back this series, and they still have Spo on the side.
That might make them worse. Anyways,
we're not gonna respect.
All right, so over under 5 games. Over under 5 games.
I'm gonna say over, but my thing is I think it'll be Nuggets in 6. And the only reason I say that is because I think the Heat know how to extend a series really, really well. They know how to make it tough
They
on you.
wear on you, yo.
They're gonna steal a couple games somehow, some way. Some shit's gonna go down. They're gonna do something.
And
They're
the
just-
way that the way they do their all-season program, and the way that like you hear the stories from former Heat players talk about the conditioning drills that they get put through. They're the one fucking set of players that probably will be able to last in that high altitude.
Here's my hot take. I think Aaron Gordon is gonna have Jimmy Butler and fucking Alcatraz.
Well, you know what? He
I don't think
has
that's a
for a
hot
long
take.
time. He
I
has
don't
for
think
a
that's a
long
hot
time.
take.
That's what I'm saying.
Aaron Gordon has been maybe the best Jimmy Butler defender in the NBA. Maybe the best.
He's long. He's athletic.
Yep.
He can get around fucking screens.
He's strong.
And he's gonna make Butler work for every point. That's not saying he's gonna shut him down. But we've seen Butler play poorly in some fourth quarters when he's worn down. Gordon is gonna fucking make sure that he works.
We've seen him play.
Bucket.
Look. My whole shit with Jimmy Butler is that Jimmy Butler is not that good of a player for the first 3 quarters more often than not. It's the fourth quarter where he turns into a fucking superhero. But I'm not worried. Like, I don't think the Heat win the series. I think it goes 5 or 6. 6 max. I don't see it going past 6. And the Heat will have to steal one in Denver to make it happen. And I don't think that is really going to happen.
They haven't lost at home.
I think it's possible, but I don't think it's gonna happen. Here's the thing. I think it's gonna be similar. I think it's still gonna be like eerily similar to the results of the Lakers series, where yes, they swept them, but almost every game was a few possessions. Like it was, there wasn't like I don't think Miami.
But you know what?
You know blown out by 30.
Miami is a good clutch team, though. So if they get put in a position,
think they get blown out by 30.
But if they get put in a position where it's close, then it might be a longer series. Like,
and that's why I think the Nuggets in 5 or 6, but every game is likely to be within 10 points.
I disagree.
Maybe
I think Nuggets in 5, the average margin of victory is at least 10 points.
Damn.
In the 4 wins. The average margin of victory in the 4 wins for the Nuggets will be at least 10 points.
I think a lot of this hinges on game 1. And like that happens in every NBA finals. It's like, all right, cool. If the road team steals game 1, whole thing changes. We all remember 2018 with the Cavs and J.R. Smith, and everybody's like, oh, how did they mess that up? If they won in game 1, it was a different series, right? People thought maybe the Cavs could have come back and won that series. They probably wouldn't have, but they would have been in a better position to. If you can steal game 1 on the road, which is what the Heat have done in every single series this playoffs, they've won game 1 on the road. If they can do that, I mean, they might mess around and win. It would be a long shot. But it's
give a prediction, as
I'm saying Nuggets in 6. No. My prediction is Nuggets in 6. But I feel like there's we gotta at some point stop doubting the Heat because they just keep proving us wrong. Like I said the Knicks would beat the Heat. I said the Celtics would beat the Heat. And now I'm saying the Nuggets are gonna beat the Heat as well. And I've been wrong 2 times in a row. What am I gonna look like an asshole and say? You know what I mean? So
all right, before we get out of here, S.
Yeah.
What show would you put above Succession all time? If
any? I would put Sopranos above Succession. I actually recently rewatched Sopranos 2, so yeah, I would put Sopranos above Succession.
So you're a prisoner of the moment, is what
honestly, no. I think there's a lot. I think there's quite a few shows that you can put above Succession. If you want to say strictly drama shows, then they move higher up on the ranking.
No, okay, all right. Let's put it this way: Is Succession on the Mount Rushmore, meaning 4? That means 4, Lurk. I don't know if you know that. That's 4 presidents on Mount Rushmore. Is it top 4? For me, I say absolutely.
I would say yeah. 100%.
It's on my Mount Rushmore.
I need more time to think about that because I wasn't ready for that. And
just instinct, just off rip, just feel.
I'd say they just missed.
So look, the ones that come to mind.
It wasn't long enough for me. Pause.
I mean, I like the fact that they said 4 seasons.
No. I get that, but look, they did everything perfect. They didn't drag it out and make it longer than it needed to be. Yeah. They didn't wait for the show to fall off a cliff. They ended while it was still peaking. I respect all that. But there's just like when you talk, like you bring up The Sopranos, that's a classic, bro, and it had like 8 seasons.
Yeah, I think it was 7. So okay, look, I'll say
Like
Sopranos.
Sons of Anarchy for me.
It don't.
The
It
show
don't. No.
I
No. No.
fuck with
No.
OD
No.
heavy.
Yo,
Absolutely
And
not.
out, and that's
You
not
just
even
brought
on
the
my
poverty
Mount
level.
Rushmore. And I
God,
what?
that's
Nah,
ridiculous.
Soprano.
The
It's a
disrespect for
different
Sons of
ball club.
Anarchy is crazy.
It's a
Yo, you
different
should
ball
mute
club.
yourself. You
It's a
should mute
different ball
yourself.
club. They're
That-
in a
Nah,
they're
because y'all started talking shit. I didn't even hear my whole statement. I said I don't even have them on the Mount Rushmore, and
minor
that's
league,
something
man.
that I fuck with. On
Minor
a
league.
personal level, I fuck with more than Succession.
They're the Buffalo Bisons to the Toronto Blue Jays. That's what
Christ,
Sons of
bro.
Anarchy is.
You
Okay,
gotta
look,
relax, bro.
All right,
I'm just
give
saying.
me an
Okay.
S 2 minutes uninterrupted because that was wild.
Yes.
Nah,
Yes.
y'all just disrespectful. Y'all
I'm just
disrespectful.
saying,
You want to watch
okay.
Lifetime movies all day.
I got my 4. Okay, so there's actually 5 that should be in consideration, but I have 4.
Okay.
Sopranos, Breaking Bad, Succession, and what am I missing here? Oh, The Wire. The Wire. I would take Game of Thrones out because of how bad the last season of Game of
I
Thrones
agree.
was.
I agree.
You can't land the plane. You're not getting my nod for Mount Rushmore because Succession did it well. I'm top. It would have usually been Thrones, and then Succession with the way they finished the last season. I got to give it to Succession over Game of Thrones.
The only one that I would knock from there is probably, I would say, Breaking Bad. Right?
Yeah, you're not a big Breaking Bad guy, right?
Honestly, I think Better Call Saul is.
I agree.
I fuck with that
you,
more,
actually.
but
A
I
more
think
beautiful-
Breaking Bad is better.
A better constructed show, right? Now,
I
obviously,
agree. So
it doesn't have the drama, but the writing, the performances, the cinematography, Better Call
100%.
Saul is better in those areas. So
See,
that's what we're not breaking.
I think Better Call Saul is like, because it's from the same creators too. It's like they perfected what they wanted to do with Breaking Bad with Better Call Saul. But the other side of this is like, we wouldn't care about anything from Better Call Saul if Breaking Bad didn't exist.
I disagree.
We wouldn't. No,
Nah,
we wouldn't
I ain't
care.
gonna lie, bro.
Nobody would care about
I disagree with
Salamancas
you
and none of
because
that.
You probably right for most people, but I disagree with that simply because for me, when Breaking Bad first came out, all my boys kept trying to get me to watch it. I tried to watch it. It was too slow for me. I ain't watching no more. I started watching Better Call Saul with this chick I was dealing with. And watching Better Call Saul made me go back and give Breaking Bad another chance, and I fell in love with it.
And look, if that were true, we would have actually given a shit about that movie that they released. And none of us gave a flying fuck about that.
Yeah,
movie.
I ain't gonna lie. I watched it just to see if they tied any loose ends, and that shit was so dirt.
It was ass.
It was dirt.
Yeah,
right?
it was not.
It was a
Yeah,
waste of time.
It was
Yeah.
ass. I tried to look at it with the Breaking Black glasses, but it was ass.
But
it was just a money grab. You know what I'm saying?
Brought up the whole Succession shit. So how'd y'all feel about that series finale?
It was perfect. I
loved it. Yeah.
It didn't lead any. It was never going to lead anywhere other than that. I'm stealing this from a podcast that I heard, but it made you think it was a show about like Game of Thrones, who was going to win. It wasn't. It was about what happens when people are broken, right? And when broken people really have no purpose in life. The fact is that nobody won. Even Tom, he lost, right? His big prize is, you're going to be a fucking puppet that's going to be a sponge for pain with no actual power. But for him, because he grew up middle class, okay, technically, he's cool being a figurehead, but he's not walking into a good job. Look at all the pressure he was under running ATN, where he was literally at the point of exhaustion, just running ATN. Now he has to put on his big boy pants to be the CEO of the whole thing. That's not going to do well. Shiv, she's accepting a loveless marriage just to be power adjacent because her ego won't allow her to fucking not be in the mix. All of these people, they need the dealings and wheelings just to feel alive, because being a billionaire is not enough. But nobody won, right? Yeah. The wheel keeps going, but nobody wins. And so it's like none of them were, they're right. Like when you look at it, the Pops is right. These are unserious people, right? Yeah, exactly. None of them. They're all deplorable people. None of them deserve to run.
Yo, the way that everything unfolded at the board meeting just had me at the edge of my seat. Like, yo, this.
You know what?
And then the fact that it's white people, like, I love watching white people go through shit like this. Like, because y'all got so much money and power. So just to see, like, y'all go through the stress and the bullshit and the agony that us every day, like, as you said, X, impoverished folk like myself have to deal with. Like it was just beautiful to watch. But I ain't gonna
Their
hold.
life is over, but
I
Roman,
fuck
there's no
with
coming
Tom,
back for
bro.
Roman.
I fuck
Yeah.
with Tom heavy, bro. That nigga is
Tom,
hilarious, and he do what he gotta do to get out the mud, bro.
Uncle Tom, man.
all he
Uncle
wanted,
Tom.
all he wanted was stability and money, right? Because he's middle
My son.
class, and for him that was all. But really, it's like, bro, all of their lives are over. Roman is broken beyond repair.
Kendall's
All he wanted was his father's love, and once he realized that he was never gonna get it, he was a broken man. Ken sacrificed everything, fatherhood, being a good person, so that because he thought that he was equipped to run the show, and once that was taken away from him, he has nothing. Shiv, she has nothing. She got played. She's no longer respected, and her little side hustle in politics, like she's cooked. She's done. She sold her soul.
Mm-hmm.
All of their lives are essentially over.
And
Right?
then the
And it's
oldest
like,
one that nobody talks about, all the fuck shit he kept pulling.
low key, he won because he was the most self-aware out of all of them. He knew that his marriage was built on money, but he preferred that over loneliness. But if you peep, when they were showing the video of the dinner, you peep that he was the only one invited there. He was the only one that actually got to see the father for who he really was. Yeah. He didn't have the mask. He didn't have the bravado and all the shield. He actually got to make fun of his pops. Mm-hmm. None of the children ever got that. None of the children ever got that right. And Connor did. And so Connor was self-aware. He got to see.
And he was the one, and he's the only one that got truly shunned from the company.
But for him, he got to see the real Logan Roy, which the rest of them never got to see. When shit was like, yo, we would be outside of the office, Connor was the only one there, hypothetically let inside the office. That was the only people at that table were people Logan respected and actually confided in. And none of the children were invited except Connor. And that's something that the fucking children were after their entire life never got.
So the scene that always pops out to me is the scene in the kitchen when they're like the very next day is the board meeting, and it's Shiv, Roman, and Kendall in the kitchen. They're making some kind of smoothie for Kendall. They're messing around.
They put all that nasty shit in there.
Yeah. If you've ever had siblings, you've had those moments where you're sitting in the kitchen fucking around and like making jokes and stuff like that, and then your mom comes and you're making noise, shut up, right? That right there was to show us how big of they're children. They're still children. These guys are still kids, and they're little kids that are playing with big shiny toys. They're still dealing with daddy's money. They're still working, but now it's just bigger stakes. They're working at multi-billion-dollar corporations. They're trying to handle that, but they're still children. Like Logan said, I love you, but you are not serious people. You guys are just children. And that whole episode, the way that in the board meeting they got into the fight and they started wrestling with each other. That's what siblings and children would do. So like,
and then like the way that Kendall reacted when Shiv was like, yo, I don't know. The fact that they still can't agree on shit no matter what. Like, whole quote unquote future and lives in your children's lives is at stake with this transaction. And y'all still can't come to some type of agreement. Y'all still trying to fuck each other over.
It was the allure of power, the idea that they could potentially sit in that seat is what hindered their ability to grow as people, because at that point they abandoned all sense of morality, any sense of principles. If you ask me what are their actual beliefs, they don't believe in anything. They believe in power, and that's it. And when you take that away from them, they have fucking nothing. But the performances in that show,
incredible,
the way that show was written, and
the way it was shot, right?
The way it was shot, right? And the way that, right? And because I got to hear the showrunner kind of talk. Some of those shots, like for example, when they were on the boat and they found out that their dad died, that was like a 5-minute long shot, uninterrupted. That's fucking excruciating. And they made us sit there with the fucking grief.
They also shot it with film. Which is crazy. They shot it with film.
Unheard of. And what they would do, they would hide film throughout the set so that when they had to reload, they'd grab some film from like under a desk and reload the camera. Like the confidence and just the belief in this is the story. This is how we're gonna tell it. We have a vision, and they never strayed from it. And then it's just like, you want comedy? It's one of the funniest shows ever. You want drama.
I
Some of the
wouldn't say
most.
one of the funniest, but
No, it's one of the.
It was funny though. It was funny.
it was funny,
is,
but
no. Listen, on rewatch, I agree with you. When I've rewatched certain episodes, there's certain people in the background talking that you don't even notice the first time you watch. And the second time you actually hear the background conversations, it's some of the funniest fucking shit you'll ever hear in your life, but you don't peep on the first viewing. You know what I'm saying? And it's
I'm
so
probably gonna
layered.
rewatch it soon because the shit is fire. And
No, I'm about to restart it from the beginning. And the thing is, they laid so many Easter eggs from the beginning that it's like, holy shit, of course it was gonna end that way.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They've been telling you the whole time, but we got caught up with who's gonna win the race. When they were telling you from the beginning, no one's gonna win. None of these fucking people are equipped to actually lead this shit. And you see Tom, just the way Tom and Greg were moving, the Dirty Brothers, they were always they're just amiable, right?
Greg is another nigga I fuck with. Scumbag, bro.
So you know why Tom accepted Greg back into his life? Because he had made Greg. That is what Tom would have done in that situation easily, without a doubt. Like, he's the one who molded him into being that type of character. So of course you're gonna take him.
Tom's already did the shit.
Yeah, he's done. Yeah,
he's gonna be for Greg.
What
Tom is for Matt.
Greg is gonna be for Tom. What Tom is gonna be for fucking Mattson.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
He's good. Greg is Tom's pain sponge. Oh, we gotta fire 20 people. Yeah, let me know.
They're little fucking.
Hey, you gotta go tell fucking Logan Roy's mistress that she's not getting the TV job. Go ahead and handle it.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Fighting and when Greg slapped the shit out of Tom slapped him. Hold up. Yo, bro, that little schoolgirl slap fest in the bathroom was comedy, bro.
Apparently, they actually decided, like, the two actors decided that they were actually going to fight in that bathroom. They were like, yo, fuck it, we'll just try it and see how it works. And they got into a fist fight, and they kept the take where Tom slapped him in the face. They're like, yeah, we need to keep that. That was good. Yeah.
All right. But yeah, fucking all-time show. They landed the plane. They stayed true. Because most finales, like, they try to tie up so many loose ends in an hour or 90 minutes that it feels very forced.
Yeah.
They stuck with the tone. They stuck with the pacing. They fucking nailed it. And I'm going to miss the shit out of that show, bro.
Yeah, man. So am I. It was a great show. Mount Rushmore, bro. Mount Rushmore.
You spoke about I remember when last season ended, I felt like you and Nima overhyped the season finale. I thought the season finale was okay. I was a little disappointed based off of your assessments.
I think it was actually
finale. This last episode right here, the way they ended everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. It's hard to compete with that in the history of television. Like as far as finales, like that's
not even a top 5 Succession episode for me. It's not even a top 5.
It's crazy. It's not even a top 5. I mean, maybe top 5, but like it's not a top 3 Succession episode from this season. But that's
what I'm saying. Like it's like no, I'm saying just as
funeral.
Finale.
Yeah.
Oh, as a finale.
As a finale, this is hard to compete with a finale like this. Like, this was next level shit right here.
Yeah,
agree. But
yeah,
this episode. Yeah, it's probably not top 3 this season.
Funeral, they got the boat episode. There's the election episode. Like, man, I don't even know if it would be top 5, which is crazy because it's one of the best finales ever. It's so hard. You mentioned it, but like, it's so hard for some of these shows to wrap up things, to make sure it's good and to end it on a good note. How many shows we talked about Game of Thrones and how Game of Thrones didn't work out. Obviously, a lot of people don't love the Sopranos ending. I'm on the other side. I like the Sopranos ending, but some people don't like it. People talk about Seinfeld ending badly, How I Met Your Mother. There's a million examples. Lost, another one, which I love that show, but the ending some people question so badly. So like, there's so many good shows that just they get so ambitious towards the end that they're like, how are we supposed to end this thing? With Succession, they consistently kept it at one tone. They did the exact same, storyline that they wanted to throughout. I'm really excited to see what his next show is. It's called The Regime with Kate. Is it Kate Winslet? I can't remember, but that's going to be a good show.
Who's he? The director?
Mark Mylod, I think.
No, you're saying like the director. The director's.
Well, the writer is Jesse.
Jesse someone. Yeah, I forgot what his name was.
But the writer, isn't
there a writer strike going on?
Yeah, but I mean, there's some shows that are already in production and done, right? So yeah.
Okay. Well, yo, appreciate you having on.
Appreciate y'all having me, man.
Looking forward.
What we got to do in the off season, come back and we'll list our top 10 shows.
Okay, I'm down. Yeah, why not?
Pop culture episode coming to a TV screen and a laptop screen near you.